guys, it is me, Jacqueline. For today's video, I have a book haul for you, and this is actually a really big one. I have about 20 books to show you guys. Some of these I have read and others I haven't, but I am super excited to pick up. Anyway, let's get on to this video. The first book I have, I pre-ordered, and it actually came out in December, and this book is from Sandin, and this is by Amy Harmon. She is one of my favorite authors, and so when I heard she was coming out with a historical fiction novel, I knew I had to grab it. I'm even more excited to read this book because this takes place during World War II in Italy, and it is a historical fiction romance, but if you don't know, Amy Harmon is like one of my favorite authors just because she is a beautiful writer. I also love her characters. I get so emotionally attached to her stories, and so since I have been trying to pick up more historical fiction novels, I cannot wait to read this one just because it is exactly that, but it's written by one of my favorite authors, so I automatically know I'm going to love it. Then the second book I pre-ordered, I cannot believe I have, and that is Traitor to the Throne by Alwyn Hamilton. It is beautiful. I know they actually changed the cover for the hardback version, and that one actually doesn't come out until March 7th. But if you go on Book Depository, you can get this version, and it came out I think officially today, but I did pre-order it, so I got it early, and I cannot wait to read it. I am so happy I have it in my possession. The main reason I did want to pick up this version is because I love this cover, and I actually really love the fact it does match with the Rebel of the Sands original cover. I definitely want to order a paperback version of Rebel of the Sands from Book Depository just so they can match. I cannot wait to pick up this book because this one definitely left me wanting more. It doesn't leave on a cliffhanger, but it is so much shorter. This book is huge. It is over 500 pages, so I cannot wait to read this. I will definitely try to read and review it as soon as I can. Next, I have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now, I did read this prior to getting this physical copy, but after I read that book, I knew eventually I was going to get one just because I really did enjoy this story, and I actually decided to pick up this copy when I pre-ordered the From Sand and Ash book by Amy Harmon. You have probably seen this book a ton on BookTube and probably on my channel, but I really did love this book. I found it to be very emotional and tender. Definitely one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books in conjunction to Maybe Someday. I still cannot get over the fact I have this book in my possession, and that is A Crown of Wishes by Roshani Chokshi. Now, if you don't know, this is the companion novel to A Star Touched Queen, which was one of my favorite books last year. I love this story and the characters with the writing. It was just everything to me, and so when I heard she was coming out with a companion novel, I just knew I had to read it as soon as I can, and Roshani was actually very sweet enough to DM me on Twitter and ask if I wanted a ARC copy. Of course I said yes, because one of my favorite books, companion book, obviously I want to read it, and I can't wait to see this story itself, but also how Roshani has grown and changed as a writer since this is now her second book. I'm just so excited for this. You guys have no idea. Next, I have The Edge of Everything, and this is by Jeff Giles. This was one of my most anticipated book releases for 2017. I did get to receive it early, and I already have a review up on my channel if you are interested in knowing how exactly I felt about this book. Overall, I did like this. I just didn't love it. If you haven't heard of this book though, in this novel we follow our main character Zoe, who one night actually gets attacked in the woods with her brother, and a bounty hunter saves them, and later on Zoe actually names this bounty hunter X, and so we follow Zoe as she figures out who exactly X is and pretty much what he is. Then I have book 1 and 2, a part of the Blood of Gods and Royals trilogy, and this is by Eleanor Herman. The first book is Legacy of Kings, and the second book is Empire of Dust. Now, I was sent these books in exchange for an honest review. I haven't read and reviewed them yet, and that's because I want to read them closer to the release date of the third and final book, a part of this trilogy, which is coming out in June of this year. I have heard some very positive things about this trilogy. I've also heard the second book is even better than the first, and what I got from the summary is this is a reimagining of Alexander the Great. We follow multiple different characters in this world, and I love that just because that sort of reminds me like Fallen Kingdoms. So I can't wait to see exactly what this is all about. Then I actually have the December Owl Crate book, which was Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Culhurst. This is a standalone fantasy novel. It is the author's debut novel, and it is a LGBTQ book because in this one we actually follow our main character, who is a princess, and she's betrothed to a prince in a different kingdom, and one way or another she actually falls in love with the huntress, a part of that kingdom. So I'm very excited to read this. I have heard really good things about it. The next 5 books I have, I was actually sent from Penguin Teen unsolicited, and it was just so kind and sweet of them to send it my way. It was like a little bit of a Valentine's Day theme. It came in this big red box with some hearts and candy. It was really cute. If you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen that picture. First book they sent me actually comes out this month on February 14th, and that is the Valiant, and this is by Leslie Livington. I have seen this book around and I cannot wait to read this. It is actually about a princess that turns into a female gladiator, and I just think that sounds amazing. So it's going to be sort of like a fantasy historical fiction. The next book, I actually didn't look into it too much just because I think the whole atmospheric sort of idea behind it is you don't really know what it is about, and that is Nemesis, and this is by Brendan Ricks. And the thing that sort of I loved was on the cover it says, he killed me not, he killed me, and since the box they sent me was Valentine's Day themed, I thought it was a little bit funny since usually it's like he loves me not. This doesn't actually come out until March of 2017. The next book I have is another one that I didn't read the summary for because it has this entire like mysterious vibe emitting from it, and so I feel like if I did read a summary that would almost give too much information away, and it is, I feel like, one of those stories that you should just pick up and read without really knowing a lot of information. And that book is The One Memory of Flora Banks, and this is by Emily Barr. This book comes out in May, but it just seems really intriguing. On the front it says, you always remember your first kiss, Flora remembers nothing else. And then on the inside, the like first page and also the last page of this book, it says like all over Flora be brave. On the back it has this list, and it starts with 10, the age I was when my brain changed, 8, how many years my passport is valid for, 6, people out there looking for me on the ice, 4, the age when I met my best friend, but a note says I shouldn't contact her now, 2 stones, one is mine and one is Drake's, I'll find him wherever he is, 1 memory all I have. The book you'll never forget. This book is only 290 pages, and so that has me interested in reading it just to know why I will never forget it. Hopefully I will be able to read this sometime soon and get my thoughts on it for you guys. I then have We Are Okay, and this is by Nina LaCour. I'm actually very much interested in her other book, which is Hold Still. In this book we follow our main character who leaves her past behind by going cross country, and nobody knows really why she left, not even her best friend. And she is in New York but her old life is in California, and her best friend decides to come and visit her, and that's when things sort of get more difficult for our main character because then she is now confronted with her past. It is a very short book. It is only like 230 pages, so hopefully I can just pick it up and fly through it. This does come out on February 14th if you are interested. Then the final book is Sidious Saints and Thieves, and this is by Natalie C. Anderson. Prior to getting this book, I haven't heard anything about it, but from the summary, what I got from it is our main character moves to Kenya with her mom, and her mom actually gets a maid position at a very rich family's house and ends up being murdered there. And our main character believes one of the family members of that rich family murdered her. In this story, she finds out exactly what happens with her mom, and she confronts other things or other elements a part of her past. Moving along, I have Stay, and this is by A.L. Jackson. This is a new adult contemporary that came out last month in January. It is the 5th book part of the Bleeding Stars companion series, but all of the books a part of this series can be read as a standalone. I have already read this book. I do have my review up on my channel. I was sent in exchange for an honest review, but I really enjoyed this one. If you want to know more of my thoughts on it, you can watch that video. I then have the book Jumper, and this was the January YA Bookly box. And I cannot wait to read this just because I wish I was a book jumper. A book jumper is someone who can literally jump into novels and experience the book for themselves. And so our main character in this story is a book jumper, and I love that element. Yet again, I wish I was one, so I definitely want to read this and sort of experience that through our main character. The next one I have is The Crowd, and this is by Elise Boltz. I also was sent this in exchange for an honest review, and I do already have that review video up on my channel, but this is a YA contemporary book about a girl who goes to an elite sort of private school, and it's more about her trying to not really feel like she has to try so hard to fit in, and she wants to be herself and she strives to stay that way. And I really love this book. I actually gave it a 4 to 5 stars. I was sort of surprised by how much I did enjoy this one. This is the first book part of a series. I'm not exactly sure when the others are coming out, but I would definitely recommend looking into this one if you are interested. I then have Flash Fall, and this is by Jenny Moyer. This is sort of a survival adventure mystery book. On the cover it says some boundaries should not be crossed. It says Flash Fall is a wild, crazy ride, absolutely riveting, a grim, fast-paced adventure novel that dares you to blink. I have seen this around on BookTube. I've heard some pretty decent things about this book. The 3 next books I have I got when I received a quarterly YA subscription box. So the first one is The Diabolical, and this is by S.J. Kincaid, and this is basically about these things called the diabolicals, and on the inside it says a diabolical is ruthless, a diabolical is powerful, and a diabolical has a single task: kill, in order to protect the person you've been created for, nothing else. Another book I got in that box was Unwind. This is by Neil Shusterman, and this is a book that I've always wanted to read but I never actually have picked up, and I can't believe I finally have in my possession. This is the first book a part of the Unwind series, which is a dystopian series. This has been out for so long. I remember after I read Divergent and The Hunger Games, I would be obsessive with trying to find dystopian novels, and I would always see this series, yet I personally never picked it up. But finally I have the first book a part of this series, so I can definitely get to it eventually. And then the last book a part of that box was The Scorpion Rules, and this is by Erin Bow. This one I want to read so bad because I personally haven't heard anyone talk about it, but it seems so different. On the back of this book it says that in this universe the world is at peace, and Greta is a duchess and a crown princess and a hostage to peace. This is how the game is played. If you want to rule, you must give one of your children as hostage. Go to war and your hostage dies. Does that not sound super interesting? I don't know if this is a part of a series or anything like that, but nonetheless, I definitely want to read this. So that was my book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please let me know down below in the comments section if you have read any of these books or what books you have recently picked up. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!